What's up, guys? I'm here to talk about a new topic. I want to talk about colorism in the black gay community. So you're probably wondering why I'm talking about colorism. Like, who cares about colorism? Well, as a dark-skinned black man, colorism is something I can't escape. It is something that is ingrained in me. It is something that is very much so heavily a part of the gay community, especially the black gay experience. So I want to talk about it from my perspective and my vantage point. So my journey with colorism started when I was very, very young. When I was like maybe 8 or 9, I was very much so into lighter skinned people for like any type of attraction. I always thought the lighter skinned people were very better looking. I always thought the lighter skinned people were more attractive. Like I think my very first crush I ever had, I won't say who it was because that would just be awkward. But he was lighter skinned too. Like he was a lot of people that I was like had crushes on when I was younger were either light skinned or they were white or they were Hispanic or they were just, fair skinned. Like I just very much so was into lighter skinned people when I was like 8 or 9 and 10. And that continued on when I was in my teenage years too. Like I was definitely into like light skinned people all the time. Like it was like it became an obsession that I didn't know was an obsession. It was just kinda like my immediate attraction was definitely for people who were lighter skinned, and it just carried over from me being a child at 8, 9 years old liking girls who were light skinned to me being a 15-year-old gay male and liking guys who were lighter skinned, and it just continued on from there. And at first I thought it was just okay, I'm dark skinned, so maybe I just like people who are lighter than me. But as I started to become older and more self aware of this thing, I learned that it was already ingrained in me from like childhood that, lighter skinned people always had like they were the more attractive, they were the more sought after, they had privilege pretty much. They were automatically attractive because they were light skinned. And I kind of bought into it without even knowing that I was buying into it. And for the longest time, me myself being darker skinned, like I definitely was like called all the good names like Tar Baby and Blackie and all these other great names for dark skinned people that were negative and like very toxic and harmful. And my self esteem definitely went in the toilet because of it. Because I'm like, okay, I'm dark skinned. Maybe my mom would even tell me, "Why are you outside? Stay outside of the sun. Get out of the sun. You gonna get black." And then like my older brother would call me Chalk, and like it was a abbreviation of chocolate, but it was like Chalk was like I was like dark and like I never found being dark skinned to be actually a quality that was attractive or good. It was always like I always felt less than because I was darker skinned. And then growing up in school, like people who were lighter skinned than me always definitely made fun of me. And it was just like a long history of just being bullied about it. And all it did was go, I kind of like brought a lot of that insecurities to being gay. When I started to like be more and, acclimated to gay culture and being more a part of it as a teenager, I definitely saw the effects of colorism a lot more because two of my friends at the time who were gay, they were both lighter skinned and they definitely were well more like liked and well more sought after and all that stuff. And then my other friend, he was about maybe a tone lighter than me, but he was still considered dark skinned. But he was very attractive, so it kind of negated him being dark skinned. But for me, being dark skinned and being short and just like all of the like, typical things that make people seem unattractive, I had all those qualities. I was dark skinned, short, chubby. I had gray hair at a young age. Like I just had all the bad qualities, and I remember me and him would be like, "Dang, we both dark." And we would like stay out of the sun. We would like buy umbrellas and walk around with umbrellas when it was like super hot. We were like 15, 16 doing this. And him especially, he had like a lot of different like tones on his body. Like certain parts of his body were like super light, and then certain parts of his body were like super dark. And he was like always really frustrated about it because he wanted all his body to be the same tone. I remember one time he was like, "I should just go buy some tanning lotion or some tanning some self tanner and stuff like that." I was like, "Why do you know you're black? Why are you buying this? You're dark skinned." But we didn't understand what we were doing at that time. We were just like young teenage kids, not understanding what was going on. But being gay, any type of flaw you have definitely gets amplified even more. And I started to understand that people who were my complexion or darker definitely had a less, like, lower privilege in the gay community. Like, I know it's like a definitely a lot of like gay males that I interacted with who were lighter skinned definitely got favored more. They got more privilege. They definitely were treated a lot better than me. Like, I was like this lesser, pretty much. Like, I was like the untouchables, and it harkened back to like every type of society that has been established in modern culture as far as like, colorism is concerned, because colorism isn't exactly necessarily a black thing exclusively. Like, people in Japan have an issue with colorism, people in India definitely have a huge issue with colorism, people pretty much all over the world who are non-white have an issue with colorism. Like, even in Latin America, there's a big issue with colorism. Like, the lighter you are, the better you are, pretty much. And it just all fumbles together. But for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to specifically talk about black gay men and how we have indoctrinated colorism. And the lighter skinned gays definitely are held to a higher standard and definitely praised more, and just like, oh, it's like you definitely feel that you are beneath them most of the times. And I remember back in like the early 2000s, like maybe 2005, 6, being black was never exactly something people were proud of a lot of times, especially like black gay men. So if you were like lighter skin, you had a really like looser curl pattern, which, like, that's a whole different, like, texturism and all that stuff, or texture discrimination is a big thing too. I mean, I even felt it because I'm like, okay, I'm dark skinned, I can't have nappy hair too. That's just like a double whammy. So I remember I would definitely be buying like S curls and curling my hair up to look like, oh, I'm mixed and stuff. It was like, ugh. Like, all of us did it. It was just weird. It was a weird time to just be. It was so much self-hating that was going on. But a lot of like lighter skinned black gays were definitely like, they would disassociate themselves from being black. They were like, oh, I'm mixed. Oh, I'm Latin. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm Native American. They would never want to be considered black a lot of times. So when you ask, like, oh, what's your ethnicity? They're like, oh, I'm like mixed with like 7 different things and stuff. And it would always be like very, 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 very far back in their like family tree where these people were, mixed and stuff. Like, they were like their great 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 grandmother on one side is like Native American or something. They would claim to be mixed at that point, and not knowing that genetics is like so far removed to almost where it's like you may be like 10% or like maybe not even 10% Native American. But during that time period, a lot of people were definitely trying their best not to be black as much as possible. And for me, I couldn't escape it. I couldn't say, oh, I'm mixed with this, because, like, you're dark, Michael. You obviously are just black. And it wasn't fun. It definitely was like this less than greater than situation. And the light-skinned gay men definitely benefited from being lighter skinned oftentimes. Like, and I internalized this, and I would always seek out people who were light skinned. Like, oh, well, not knowing subconsciously, I am definitely a person at that time was trying my best to have a leg up somehow. So I figured if my partner that I'm with is lighter skinned, maybe I'll get more privilege or a better social standing. I don't know. I was trying my best to grab at something, and all that internalized hatred I had for my skin and not knowing it was just like, I didn't know how damaging that was to me, because it was like I wouldn't even like talk to guys who were my complexion. I'm like, oh, I'm not talking to him. And I would just be so obsessive over like Hispanic men for being light. Like, oh my god, he's light skinned. Oh my god, he's so attractive. Oh my god. And then it was like this series of, first it was white men. Like, oh my god, white man. Blah blah blah. I was like obsessed. Like Chad Murray and Little Bloom, like my first like crushes that I was like actively being a crush of. Like, I remember when I was younger and my first like real crush was like Nelly. During the country grammar days, like I was obsessed with Nelly secretly. Like, I didn't tell anybody, but I was in love with him. But when I was like actively like saying, okay, I am gay and stuff like that, my first crush that I said, okay, Little Bloom is like my first like active crush. And then it was Chad Murray. And then it just spawned from there. It just became more, it was less and less. It was so far removed from black men to a point where it was like, do I even like myself? Do I even like any of that stuff? And it took me years to get back to that point because, like, I remember trying my best to like figure out what was going on with me. I think my first boyfriend that I had helped tremendously because he was very dark. He was about the same complexion as me, and I didn't expect it to happen because I was so used to guys my own complexion just not even like checking for me. Like they're like, "Ugh, I only date light skinned dudes," and then light skinned like, "I only date light skinned dudes too." So it was like I just felt like completely xed out of the conversation when it came to like color and stuff. But my ex was just as dark as I was, and he had the same texture of hair, so it was like, oh, this is nice. This isn't so bad. Why was I ever like running away from being dark skinned in the first place? But I think once I got away from like a lot of the toxicity that I had experienced being gay growing up, being a teenager, I think that definitely helped. Cause yeah, I was so indoctrinated into knowing that there was a caste system, there was a pecking order, and I was always going to be last because I definitely didn't fit any other criteria to be needed to be ascend higher. So I'm like, I'm not physically fit. I'm not like, you know, aesthetically good looking. Like I just had nothing going for me aesthetically speaking. So colorism just added another layer to that. And being for the people who are lighter skinned and watching them and how their access to the gay community was so much better than mine was always disheartening. Like I was always like, oh man, this sucks. Like my experience of being gay was probably pretty awful. Like for the most time, like, I just never had a really good footing with being gay for a long time. It was just like, and at one point I just distanced myself completely from, you know, being gay. Like I just say, okay, being gay is just my sexuality, but it's not. I'm not a part of the community because of the fact that so much of what I was experiencing was negative. Like a lot of it wasn't good. It just reinforced a lot of my insecurities and made me just like hate being gay after a while. Like, if this is what being gay is all about, then I don't want any parts of it. That was my philosophy for a while. I think now I'm starting to get back to like, okay, it's okay to be a part of the gay community. It's fine. Just gotta find people who are more like minded than like myself, who aren't so image focused or image conscious and so narcissistic and so egocentric and just so much into themselves to where their personality is not even a big deal because the way they look is more important than everything else about them. So yeah, dealing with colorism definitely has been a struggle. I'm just now learning to love being dark skinned. It took a while. I think it may have taken like maybe the last 10 years of my life to really like understand it's okay to be dark skinned and it's actually very beautiful to be dark skinned and my skin is beautiful the way it is and it's not like this detriment to myself and it's not like a bad thing. So I guess that's about it. Oh, I did want to talk about really quick. There was this monologue from I think his name is XemSays. I think that's his name. I'm probably butchering his name. I'm gonna link it below. He had this really, 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 really good like monologue that he put together called Mean Boys, and it touched on colorism because it was pretty much saying these type of gay men, the lighter skin mixed gay men are definitely held to a higher standard and have more power and privilege than everybody else, and they're not really like affected by racism as much as we are. It was a really powerful like monologue, and it kind of got me churning with this. And that, and just I saw on the Grapevine they had like a whole like panel discussion about colorism in the UK, and it just reinforced a lot of my ideas about colorism. And then there's one more person I want to shout out, Chrissie, I believe that's her name. She's on YouTube, and most of her work and her videos are basically dealing with colorism as it relates to being a black, dark-skinned woman in the society. And a lot of her videos touch on a lot of stuff that I've gone through, and it's weird how similar the black gay experience is very similar to the black female experience. It's really, the parallels are just so seamless to where it's like we're almost living the exact same life in a lot of ways. But so yeah, that's my take on colorism in the gay community, in the black gay community. What do you guys think? What's your take on being colorism? Does it affect you? Does it not affect you? Do you not even care? Do you not even worry about colorism? Is it not something that even strikes your mind? Let me know. Share this video with people, and thanks for watching.